Question. The first time you ever mentioned the two men is when the officer walked away from the truck. Period. Is that right? Question mark. Answer. Could you ask that again? Question mark. Oops. Should be question. Sure. Period. The first time in your police report that the two men are mentioned is when you say they walked away from the truck. Period. Is that right? Question mark. Answer. Yes. Period. When they began to move away from it. Period. Question. The first mention in your report of any contact with any other officer is when the two men, comma, Mr. should be Glencher and Mr. Padden, comma, started to walk away. Period. Is that right? Question mark. Answer. Yes. Period. I just said, comma, that is when I made the call. Period. Question. How did you contact the other officers? Question mark. Answer. I contacted them via the radio unit in my patrol vehicle. Period. Question. It was at the same time that you directed the responding units to detain both of them? Question mark. Answer. That was when I asked for backup help for another unit, from another unit. Period. Question. Did you, comma, at that same time direct the responding unit to detain the two men? Question mark. Answer. Yes. Period. That's when I asked them to detain the two of them. Period. Question. That is if only that is the only radio contact that is described in your report. Period. Was that the extent of it? Question mark. Answer. Yes. Period. I only made the one call. Period. Question. Do you recall that I asked you at the start if you were the kind of person who would admit if you had made a mistake, comma, or check to see if you had made a mistake? Question mark. Answer. Yes. Period. I recall that you had asked that. Period. Question. During the course of our break, comma, did you take a look at your case file to see if you could find the photograph that was taken of Drew Morgan in 2012? Question mark. Answer. No, comma, I did not try to look it up. Period. Question. As you sit here now, comma, do you still believe it? Do you still believe that you correctly identified Drew Morgan back in the fall of 2012, question mark, answer, yes, comma, I would have to, no, well, comma, I would have to reopen the case file in order to answer that, period, question. So you aren't sure that you correctly identified him in 2012, question mark, answer, I would have to review the case file to answer that, period, question. And during the break, comma, you didn't do that, question mark, answer, no, comma, I didn't, period, question. How many officers were with you at the scene on the day of the buy, question mark, answer, there were at least 2 other officers with me at the time, period, question. Can you give me the file of one of the officers who was on the scene with you, question mark, answer, at one point, comma, I recall Officer Lehman was on the scene, period.